Someone asked a very interesting question. That was, if they were to invest their life savings now, are they better investing in Bitcoin that has a quote unquote guaranteed return of 5 to 10x over a given time period, or something more speculative like HEX that comes with more risk but also comes with a perceived much greater upside? I'll preference this by saying, of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm here to give you my opinion. This is for entertainment purposes. I will also say that I am perhaps a little bit more risk tolerant than most, so I'm always going to lean that way personally. Again, it's very important to say a guaranteed return is a very strong term. I don't think anything is guaranteed, obviously, but I get where you're going with that. Bitcoin does have a lot of gravitas. It is the number one cryptocurrency currently, especially for new people coming in. It's sometimes the only cryptocurrency they know of. And so with the institutional buy-in and a lot of that third-party substantiation that's been earned over, the last couple of cycles, it is something that is relatively risk-free in as far as crypto goes. And so putting your money there, do I think it'll do better than the stock market? In most instances, absolutely. Do I think it'll be, steadily trending up and to the right? Yes. How far ahead of inflation that trends? Well, I guess we'll wait to see. I would say that it's a pretty safe bet and certainly probably a better bet than keeping money in your bank account, providing you don't have to take that cash out every week, every month to survive. I would also make the argument that Ethereum also right now has earned almost the same amount of gravitas. It's been around for a very long time, with the caveat that it's a much more useful product. A lot of programs, a lot of solutions and products and projects all, rotate around a core of Ethereum technology. We know who the founder is. It shares a lot of the selling points of a lot of projects that we love. And it's the number 2 cryptocurrency. Some would even argue that it's about to flip Bitcoin. Also with the caveat that whereas Bitcoin has, done its millions of X's, and it's going to take a large amount of economic movement to move the needle in any substantial way for us, Ethereum isn't quite there yet. And so looking for that 5, 10, 20x may even be attainable in the next bull cycle. So do I think that if I'm putting myself in the shoes of a very risk intolerant person, I would still choose Ethereum over Bitcoin just because the upside versus the risk, that ratio is still very much in favor and also has the potential of making much bigger returns with much less economic energy injected in. What I would also say is, again, investing your life savings into anything should be really, really thought about. I mean, if anything, you should, at least keep a little back for other things. But if you are set on the decision to invest your life savings, unless you're talking about a significant amount of money, like most of us, if you have a modest amount of money to put to work, you're going to want to get the most return as possible from that investment. And I think even for the most risk-averse person, the Ethereum investment over a Bitcoin investment, risk-reward ratio is going to get you a lot more back. Now, thinking about something like a HEX, which is a lot more speculative when you look at things, certainly than an Ethereum or a Bitcoin. But obviously, those are two of the biggest cryptos out there. And so, it is going to be somewhat of an unfair comparison when looking at that trust and security. For those of us looking to make much, much larger returns, that's not the only thing we have to look at. We've talked about the catalysts that are coming up with HEX, the ecosystem being built around it, and all the unique selling points that certainly indicate to many of us that price is going to rise. If you're starting with a relatively small amount of money, obviously a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100x is going to make a lot more difference to you. And that risk-reward ratio, you have to calculate yourself, is it going to be life-changing with a 5x? Is it going to be life-changing with a potential 10x? What is my time horizon? Is this something that I'd like to see much bigger returns from in the next year or two so I can then diversify even more and then start thinking along those kind of more secure options? For me, yes, I am pretty heavily invested in some other projects as well, which I'll touch on in this channel as we go forward. But I do think that with HEX, there is a much larger upside with much smaller economic energy injected into it. There's no easy answer to this. Everyone's going to have to take, a good audit of their own financial situation and ultimately see what you're able to do without for the next year or two. Because even if you're investing into HEX, I certainly wouldn't encourage those of you, especially if you're not traders by nature, if you don't have a lot of experience in the markets, kind of timing the market, even if you do, it's very, very unlikely you're going to time that as well as those who have just hodled the whole way through. You've got to put whatever money you're putting away and invested with the mindset that it's going to be quite some time until you're able to take that out, certainly if you want to get the biggest rewards from it. So regardless of where you're investing your money, that's the mindset I would always encourage. Now, for me, my personal opinion, right now we've talked about all the different projects that I've looked at, that I intend to talk about as time goes forward. But I'm doing kind of a lay of the land right now, and I'm looking at HEX as one of the most immediate, amazing opportunities there is out there. So I'm of course going to be a little biased and start leaning heavily towards a HEX investment because I really do think that it has the biggest upside, certainly in the shortest period of time, but also thinking much longer term. And I'm talking, when I say much longer term, it's like dog years in crypto. I'm talking, 3, 5, 10 years. I'm not talking 20, 30, 40 years. It may still be doing fantastic things at that time, but I'm not going to keep, all of my vested interest there. Especially if it's money that I intend to use. And so I hope that answers the question. There isn't an easy way of answering it. And the only thing you can do as an individual is figure out how risky you are. How much do you need this money in the next 6 months, the next 12 months? And if the answer is you definitely need it, well, you're putting in too much money. You've got to make intelligent decisions here. And so I would encourage anyone, if they can, to analyze themselves, analyze what they're looking to get out of this. What are your goals? What bar do you need to reach in order to, achieve your hopes, your dreams for this investment, and make the decision accordingly. So to clarify, on the safe side, I go with Ethereum over Bitcoin. On the risky side, I use the word risky tentatively. I'm not going to invest in something that I don't have a firm belief is going to do very well. So, for me, it isn't quite as risky as it would be for most. But a HEX investment, for me, takes the win. Just because I'm not a billionaire yet and I'm not able to move the needle for myself without taking on a bit of risk and seeing that potential massive upside. So I hope that helped. Please let me know in the comments anything you do want me to talk about. There are some topics I'm taking note of. Trust me, I'm looking at them and I'm starting to devise my timetable in terms of the topics that I want to touch on. I am going to roll in to my content some stuff about other projects, but maybe smaller projects that some of us are not too familiar with, or some of you guys may not be familiar with. I am very much right now a HEX, PulseX, maxi mentality, but we do understand that we have to be open-minded, especially now during the bear cycle where it is the best time to get into some of these smaller projects. And I'll certainly give you my 2 cents in just what percentage of your portfolio I would advise putting into some of this stuff if you do intend to get into it. I'll also do a bit of a rundown in terms of my methodology, my thinking behind some of these projects and why I intend to get in. Like I've said before, I'm not going to suggest anything until I have made my decision to get involved, and I'm going to get involved at the same time that I make these videos. I don't agree, as I'm sure most of you do, with a lot of the influencers out there that are looking to pump prices in kind of post entry level. So I'm going to try to stay as transparent as I can with the positions and the movements that I'm making. I hope this helped. Please hit the like button. I mean, a lot of you are anyway. As I haven't really asked for that, but it's been fantastic. It's great for the algorithm, and your comments are very much appreciated. It's been fantastic to see them, and it's, like I said before, it's certainly motivating for me to see a lot of this stuff. Follow me on Twitter. I'm going to be posting a lot more on Twitter now going forward as well. So anything that's a little bit more time sensitive, it may be a good idea to follow me. I'm not going to blitz the hell out of Twitter and start making it a chore to look through the scrolls and scrolls of data that are coming out. But yeah, I hope to make that useful and bring some value to as well. So my Twitter handle's in the subscription as well, and I'm definitely looking forward to making some more content going forward. So thanks a lot, guys. Take care.